Welcome back, class. Welcome back to 7th grade mathematics. Today we will be working on the Common Core State Standard involving geometry, and we're going to be working with scales. So let's look at our objective for today. Our objective is students will be able to solve problems using lengths from a scale drawing. So the problem we'll be solving today will be going off of our lesson from yesterday. So we're going to be using lengths from a scale drawing to solve our problem. So let's go ahead and look at part of our problem. So our problem is called map distance, and before we look at the problem, we have some information up here along with a map. So let's see what this is about. It says on the map below, 1/4 inch represents 1 mile. And Candler, Canton, and Otine are 3 cities on the map. So just from the information they gave us up here, we already know what our scale is going to be. So what is our scale? Looking at the information at the top. Here's our scale right here. 1/4 inch represents 1 mile. And what that means is that 1/4 inch on the map is equal to 1 mile in real distance. Okay, so we are going to look at our problem now, and we're going to solve our problem using our scale. So let's do a cold read of our problem. Our problem says, if the distance between the real towns of Candler and Canton is 9 miles, how far apart are Candler and Canton on the map? So just from our cold read, what do you think our question is asking us? What are we trying to solve? Okay. So let's go ahead and break our problem up into 2 parts, and I'm going to go ahead and break it up in by this comma right here, so we can get the most information out of our problem. Okay, so let's look at this first part of our problem. It says, if the distance between the real towns of Candler and Canton is 9 miles. So what this is telling us is the distance between the real towns. Okay, so we're not talking about towns on the map, where we're talking about the real towns, real distance of Candler and Canton is 9 miles. Okay, and we know that we're talking about real distance, which right here says miles, and in our scale, we know that miles is our real distance because inches is the distance on our map. So the real towns of Candler and Canton are 9 miles apart. Okay. So we know some information from our problem. Let's see what we are trying to solve. Let's see what our problem is asking us now. Second part of our problem says, how far apart are Candler and Canton on the map? Okay, so just from reading this second part of our problem, we know that we're trying to solve how far apart. And how far apart is, we're talking about a length. Okay, how far apart are Candler and Canton on the map? On the map up here. Okay, so we know that the real distance between Candler and Canton is 9 miles, and on the map, we're trying to figure out how far they are on the map. And on the map, we're talking about inches. Because remember, our scale is 1/4 inch on the map is equal to 1 mile in real distance. Okay, so we're going to use the information we have on this paper to help us solve our problem. We're going to use our scale to write a unit conversion equation to help us solve our problem, to help us find out how far apart Candler and Canton are on the map. Okay, so let's start with the information we know up here. Let's start with our scale. We know that 1/4 inch is equal to 1 mile. Okay, and when we're doing unit conversion, we're going to set it equal to the information we have in our problem. And the information we know is that the real distance between Candler and Canton is 9 miles. Okay, so up here we have our inches, down below we have our miles. So on the other side of our equal sign, or 9 miles is going on bottom. 9 miles. Okay? And then our question is asking how far apart Candler and Canton are on the map. And we know with the map, we're talking about inches, but it doesn't tell us how far that is in inches. So that's what we're solving for. So we're going to represent that with X. And we're working with inches. We're trying to figure out how far apart it is on the map. The map is in inches. Okay, and so now we have our unit conversion equation set up. Now we are going to go ahead and cross multiply to help us solve our problem. Okay, so go ahead and set up our problem using cross multiplication. So when I like to set up the problem, I like to put our variable on the left side. So we're going to start with these two distances here. So we're going to do X inches times 1 mile is equal to 1/4 inch times 9 miles. Okay, and let's go ahead and simplify our problem now. Our problem simplifies to X times 1, which just equals X. Okay, and that is equal to 1/4 times 9. And we know that 1/4 times 9 is the same thing as saying 1/4 times 9 over 1. And when we're multiplying fractions, we multiply straight across. So 1 times 9 is 9. 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, so X equals 9/4 inches. So when we're talking about distance though, it'll be a little easier if we take our fraction and turn it into a mixed number. Okay, so go ahead and change our improper fraction into a mixed number. So looking at our improper fraction, we know that 4 goes into 9 2 full times with 1 left over because 4 times 2 is 8, and the difference between 9 and 8 is 1. And we keep our denominator the same. And X, we were solving for inches because our question was asking how far apart these two cities are on the map. So we know that Candler and Canton are 2 and 1/4 inches apart on the map.